Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. When it comes to modify your car, the first thing that comes in our mind is to upgrade the wheel. But at the same time, there's so many fitment and so many calculations that we need to consider when it comes to a wheel change that it often holds us back to put a new set of wheel. But that's gonna stop today. We're gonna go through every single bit that you need to know to change or upgrade your wheel, so that you can be an expert after end of today's video. But before we start, we really appreciate if you follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's start. So when it comes to change your wheels, there are three things that you need to consider. First is the PCD, the second one is offset, and the third one is your wheel and tire size. So we'll go to each of them individually, but before you actually look for your alternative wheel options, you want to take the measurement of your existing wheels that come standard with your car. That you can easily find from internet. If you cannot find your vehicle model's standard fitment easily from internet, don't worry, because when we'll go to each section, we'll also tell you how to measure them by yourself. So let's start with the PCD. So what does PCD means? The PCD stands for pitch circle diameter. So that means if you come closer, so this wheel is a 5-stud wheel. So if I draw an imaginary line that will go through the middle of each stud, then I will create a circle and the diameter of the circle will call PCD. Now this car PCD is 5/112. So the first number actually refers to the number of stud your vehicle has. So this vehicle has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stud. So that's why it's 5/112. Now you can find the PCD for your vehicle as standard from different websites, but if you cannot find it, then you can easily calculate by yourself. So to calculate the PCD, which is 112 value for this vehicle, you need to take the distance of these two nearest stud from the middle point of this stud to middle point of that stud, and you need to divide it by a number, which is a denominator. Now that number will always vary depending on your wheel stud. So if it's a 3-wheel stud fitment, then the number will be 1, and if it's a 6-wheel stud fitment, the number will be another 1. So we will put all this number right above the screen so that you can find out easily your PCD for your fitment. So the distance between them two studs, the center point to center point, is 6583. And if you look at the number on the top of the screen, to divide the 6582, we need to take the denominator 0.5878, and if you do that math, it will come as 112. So this is the way you can find out the PCD of your vehicle. Now it's very important, because if you buy a wheel which has got wrong PCD, you might just waste your money. There is a way you can go for a different PCD and still can fit on your vehicle by using a thing called spigot ring. But you need to keep it in mind that only works in one way. For example, my wheel PCD is 5/112. So if I buy another set of wheel that has a PCD 5/114, I can use spigot ring to put those wheels, but it will not work the other way. What do I mean is, if my wheel standard fitment was 5/114, and if I would have bought a set of wheels 5/112, that wouldn't fit to my vehicle. So PCD is very important and the start thing that you need to consider when you go for your wheel shopping. Now the second thing is offset. So what is wheel offset? This wheel has got 9.5J measurement. That means it's a 9.5 inch. So first you need to find out the center of the wheel, which is 4.75 inch on this occasion. The offset is the distance from your center of the wheel to the wheel hub. That means this wheel has a 31 millimeter offset, means the wheel center mounting point is 31 millimeter away from the center point of the wheel. Now, the more the number will increase, the wheel center hub will stay towards the outside of the wheel, whereas the more the number will decrease, or even if you go to the negative offset, the wheel hub will stay quite at the back of the wheel. What does that mean? That means if you have a lower offset wheel, that will give you a more concave look and will stick out of your wheel arch. Whereas if you've got a higher number of offset, like 40 or 50, that will give you a less concave look and the wheel will probably stick under the wheel arches more. Now, when you're selecting the offset, it is very difficult to find the exact offset that your car came standard with. For example, this car has a 31 millimeter offset front and 40 millimeter offset at the rear. But it will be really difficult to find another set of wheel with the same exact offset unless I go for custom order. However, it's not mandatory, or it's not like you don't need to keep the offset as same as your standard wheel. You can always vary it 5 millimeter plus or minus. So if I go for 36 millimeter offset or as a 26 or 25 millimeter offset for my front wheels, that should be okay. But if I go quite a bit up or down, say for example from 31 millimeter, if I go like 51 millimeter or the other way 11 millimeter, I need to take the measurement of all the clearing spaces inside to make sure my brake doesn't touch this side of the wheel or the inner side of the wheel. And this is very important. So in summary, you can vary the offset by 5 millimeter plus or minus, but if you want to vary it further, make sure you check all the measurement, all the clearing areas your wheel, so that your wheel doesn't touch any of the suspension component or brake component. Now we'll go to the final part of the wheel fitment, which is the alloy and the tire size. To do that, we need to take you to a short math class. So let's go. So as I said, we're going to take you to a little math class, therefore I picked my notebook. To find out which size and tire wheel you want to put in your car, first you want to find out what is the standard diameter of your existing wheel that came with the car. To find this out, you need to take 3 measurements that all actually says on your tire. So for example, this tire measurement is 255 40 R21. So 255 is the width of the tire, 40 is the portion of the sidewall comparing to the width. That means 255 times by 40%, and R21 is just a rim size. So if I put that in the calculation, I'll put that on the top of the screen as well. So that gives you 255 times by 40, 102 is the portion of the sidewall. You need to times it by 2, so that gives you 204, plus you need to add the wheel size, which is 21 inch. So you need to convert it to the millimeter. That means 21 times by 25.4 millimeter gives you 533.4 millimeter. So add 204 plus 533.4 will give you 737.4 millimeter for the diameter of the front wheel. Now when you want to look for an alternative wheel options, you want to stick very close to the diameter. You might want to vary 1% plus or minus, but you don't want to go beyond that kind of variance. So let's see if I want to reduce my wheel size from 21 to 20 because I think it's too stiff. So what option should I go for? So if I go for the 20-inch wheel, and if I want to stick to the similar width of the wheel, which is 255, so I can go for 255, 20 and 40 sidewall. If I do that, you will see the calculation comes. So now the side profile stays same, 255, and my sidewall portion is still same, 40%. So that gives you 255 times 40% times 2 is equal to 204, but my wheel size change, which is 20 inch, so that will drop from 533.4 to 508. And when you drop that, the total diameter you will get is 204 plus 508, which is only 712. So comparing the original diameter 737, 712 is quite low. So which is way below your 1% variance. So that's why if you go for that kind of fitment, you will have an error in your speedometer and your wheel also looks much smaller than your existing wheel. So to solve that, what you want to do, basically you want to stick with the 255 as your original choice. You can still stick with the 20-inch wheel, but you want to increase the sidewall portion. So the sidewall portion was 40 originally, now you want to increase it by 45, not by 245. So that means if you go for the tire size 255 by 45, 20, then it will give you a diameter. So 255 times the 45% times 2, that will give you 229.5 plus your 20-inch wheel size 508 will give you a diameter of 737.5. So if you can remember, the original diameter was 737.4 and your new diameter is 737.5. So you're very, very close, and that's kind of setup you want to go for, you want to consider. So once you find out your optimum tire size, then you can choose what will be your optimum wheel size. So as we said, your tire size would be 255, 45, 20, so you can easily understand the wheel you require is 20. But what would be the wheel width? So you decided to go for a 255 tire width. So to understand how the tire width works is to get a 10J wheel size. So if you go for say 20 by 10J wheel size or any 10J wheel size, and if you convert the 10J to millimeter, it will be 10 inch times by 25.4 millimeter. That gives you 254 millimeter, rounding up as a 255. So what does that mean? That means a 10J wheels can hold a minimum tire width of 255 millimeter. However, that's not the ideal tire width though. Your ideal tire width will stay 10 to 20 millimeter above the minimum tire width. So your ideal tire width for a 10J wheel will be 265 to 275 millimeter, and the maximum tire width for a 10J wheel would be 10 millimeter above the ideal tire width, which will be 285 millimeter. So just to repeat those numbers again, for a 10J wheel, the minimum tire width will be 255, ideal 265 to 275, and the maximum is 285. Now, any wheel width, it goes down or up by half an inch. They call it half J. So from 10J you can go down to 9.5J or 9J, or go above 10.5J or 11J. So every half inch you go down, all the measurement go down by 10 millimeter. Same way, if every half inch you go up, all the measurement goes up by 10 millimeter. For example, from 10-inch wheel, if we come down to 9.5 inch, the minimum width of tire for that wheel will be 245 millimeter, ideal will be 255 to 265 millimeter, and the maximum will be 275 millimeter. In a contrary, if we go up 10.5J wheel, the minimum width will be 265 millimeter, ideal will be 275 to 285, and the maximum will be 295 millimeter. Don't worry if you can remember all this number and calculation, because we're going to put everything on the top of the screen. So when we decided we'll go for the 255 millimeter width, as I already told you, so for a 255 millimeter width, the ideal width, you need to go for a 9.5J, because a 9.5J, the minimum tire width it can hold is 245, ideal 255 to 265, maximum 275. So you will need to go for 20 by 9.5J wheel, and your tire will be 255 45 R20. So that's it is. So just to recap everything, if I want to go down from 21 inch to 20 inch wheel for this car and want to keep the diameter as as close as the factory setup, I can go for a 255, 45, 20 inch tire, and I can go for a 20 by 9.5J wheel, keeping the PCD same 5 by 112, and try to keep the offset as close as possible to the factory setup. And that's all, viewers. Hope you liked today's video. If so, please hit the thumbs up button.